Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. I'm a little bit froggy this morning. Hopefully, you can't tell too, too accurately. Um, Good news, your boy is a pilot. Well, let's be more specific. I successfully passed my Part 107 uh, small unmanned aircraft general exam. So now at least in the continental U.S., although I think technically Alaska and Hawaii don't have. I think they also abide by Part 107, but there's just other stuff that they didn't really include in the general exam. Questions that would make me think, like, maybe I need to take some sort of supplemental course, knowledge, whatever about it, if I ever got to fly there. But I passed with I think technically a B plus. I wish I had like some kind of little animation of like streamers or balloons or whatever, like they'd get on. I think it's on like Apple Chat or Apple what is it, iMessage. I feel like it's such a boomer asking that question of like, what do you got on them iPhones? I don't know. I haven't had an iPhone. Actually, I don't know that I've ever had an iPhone. Now that I think about it, I think I've always had Android devices. I know I had an iPod at one point. I don't know that I ever had an iPhone. All right. So, good news also for the day. The coffee, while it is hot, or I guess this is not good news. This is bad news. While the coffee is warm, um, for whatever reason, it's not very good today. Probably because it sat out overnight from yesterday morning. And it's not as good the second day. But we're not really here to talk coffee. We're here to talk. Heck, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to discuss. I felt like we got so much done yesterday. Um, not only did I get so much done yesterday during stream, but I also got some things done last night after stream, after exam, after going out and celebrating with my wife. Um, Let me not chew gum into the mic. Um, I made Yorn's. I think it's at least a good draft version of his sigil. Of course, I did that on a different device, so I was a fool and did not transfer it to this device. So um, when we take our break in a little while, I'll go get that file. We'll take a look at it, crack it open, talk about it, and I think that'll probably be some of what we do today is a little bit of talk about like the culture behind the sigil and the guilds. Oh, that was the other thing I meant to get open. I had said yesterday that I was going to demonstrate and talk about the currency. That's the wrong drive. The currency of the world, or at least the idea of currency for the world. Um, oh God, where did I put it? Is that it? That's it. There we go. And this also is kind of a work in progress. I'm probably going to um, redo this or alter this. Let's see, how do I get OBS to look at this? Nope, not that way. I bet this way would do it though. Well, maybe. Maybe this will do it. All right, let's see if OBS wants to play nice here. Will you play nice, OBS? Nope, we get a black screen. All right, let's try this one other different way. If we just import just an image, will you look at it this way? Nope. Okay, I think that may have done it. Can we just stretch this? Oh, OBS, why? Stretch this a bit, see how that looks. Well, hopefully that is legible. It's probably not terribly legible. One more mulligan here. We'll take a page out of City Planner Plays and just do a mulligan. There we go. Okay, so hopefully this is a little more visible. So this, again, I made this for a more simulation-esque role play, or intended for role play dense Pathfinder gameplay. Of course, I also say in there, value in Pathfinder /5e GP, because they're close enough. I wasn't sure if we were going to play 5e or Pathfinder at the time, but I was really sick of there only ever being just gold pieces when we played. I mean, technically there was gold and electrum and platinum. I think there was platinum in Pathfinder. Maybe I'm crazy there. Like, depending on what place you were in, there might be some variance. There might be copper pieces, there might be silver pieces, there might be electrum, there might be gold. But loot charts and loot stuff was always expressed in gold, which I kind of didn't like. I thought gold was like too rich of a material to be the primary exchange. So what I did with this chart is I expanded upon the stuff. So instead of gold being the common denominator, I made bronze the common denominator. So copper is, I made copper the common denominator. So that's the lowest possible coinage or monies, and then work the way up. So 10 copper makes 1 bronze, 10 bronze makes 1 silver, 10 silver makes 1 electrum, 10 electrum makes 1 silver. I just realized that I poorly formatted my chart under gold. I'm a hack. I'm a fraud. And then there was a jump where 5 gold made 1 platinum piece. I don't remember what my logic was on that. I'm sure I have it somewhere in these notes, which we may go look through today. So I think I'll want to discuss this a little bit more later on when we get Yorn's seal, and we can talk about the guilds and world currency standards, at least the idea that I have. Again, a lot of what I've got planned and written out for my world building is very not fleshed out. It's just an idea that I threw at a wall and said, well, it's sticking right now. We'll see if it slides down the wall or not. So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I think primarily what I want to do for this first 45 minutes, first hour, is chat about Yorn's age and chat about what he experienced and what he did prior to the story really starting. I think we will reread some of what we have already gone over from what I've written about Yorn when he was younger, and I think we might make a little bulleted list timeline of his childhood to young adult events of life, because I was kind of thinking about who he becomes and who he is in the story, and I don't know that I was totally convinced of any specific age or any specific, just anything with his current identity. So let's jump in with that for a minute or two. Let me turn off this this currency sheet. Get back to our script. There we go. So hopefully you guys can still see the map there on the right. It's not really important right now, but if you want a reminder, so we'll start with just my general notes here. So Yorn begins as a young and adventurous man seeking a destiny, amorphous, cursed with wanderlust. This is something I think I might want to change, and I'll explain why a little later. And it'll actually tie into his sigil, his seal. He searches for a MacGuffin, the Mountain Heart. It's a gem said to contain the soul of the mountain, supposed to give him powers. We'll eventually get to this. we haven't gotten there yet, and I don't think today will be the day. The three kobolds that we talked about yesterday are trying to find him for reasons. They think that they need him to figure out how to get their kin back. So we last week we made this journey chart. So basically we roughly charted out what Yorn is going to do, more or less, when and where. So if you're kind of following along on that map, you basically go all the way down to the south point of the map, and there's a little town or city icon that says Arbia. That's where he begins. That's where he is from. I have not fleshed out Arbia. I have a rough idea in my head with a couple notes on a piece of paper here to my left of what Arbia is, what it might contain or be adjacent to. When we talked about his making his maker's mark, his seal, we discussed a little bit of like what landmarks might be nearby. We said that it is far enough removed from most of the other places that it's not war-torn, hasn't been at war in quite some time. So it's a pretty nice place to be. We also said that this place is sort of California southern coast-ish, so it's relatively dry, pretty arid, but has nice soil. It's maybe a little even Mediterranean vibes. So yeah, we'll discuss Arbia a little bit later. But then he travels up the mountain line, sort of northwest-ish, to a place called Jula. This is all part of his journey to find the MacGuffin. He had some plans that change over the course of his journey because of reasons, and eventually those changes become more intensive, and eventually he gets to where we have written so far. So basically all of the writing that I've done in narrative form of Yorn as a younger man, it takes place in Garrett Shale. So I've said this several times already, but I got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of writing to do for Yorn, because we haven't even touched really on the middle or the ending of the story. We are just at the end of the beginning of his journey story. So let's go to where he is at in the story. He has woken up in Garrett's Shale. He's drunk, suffering a bit. We talked about his seal, his sigil yesterday. We'll look at that later. But really, what I want to reread and touch on is his memory of when he was becoming an apprentice and seeking his first apprenticeship. Let's see where. Here we go. So, yeah, we talk about he had come here only for a small stop. Yada yada yada. Since his okay, here we go. So we'll pick up here and we'll read for a little bit, just to kind of get our frame of mind right for what we are talking about. Again, really what I think I want to focus on, and preemptively I might let's just open up a new Google Doc here. No, I don't want a cover page, thank you. Because we are, I don't know why it's grayed out. That's different. Can we not have that? That would be, oh boy. Yeah, that's like almost not legible for you guys on stream. That's not helpful. Oh boy. All right, bear with me for just a moment, everybody. We're gonna do some live problem solving. This is one of my favorite, least favorite things with doing live media production. Okay, why are you like this, docs? Why are you like this? We are editing. We are, no, it's not about comments. Okay. This sucks so bad. Yeah, okay, is it? There we go. Pages format. That's cool. Jeez. All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. That was my brain is struggling to keep up with the flow of this stuff. That's what I get for having a good day yesterday. Okay, so we're just gonna pick up here, and something that I touched on yesterday, and I think even last week, just as a reminder, if you're a writer, or you're wanting to get into writing, or also if you're wanting to get into voice acting, something I really recommend you do is to read what you've written out loud, and to just read out loud. Perform. I'm not saying like a theater kid, which surprisingly I was not. I was never part of that clique. I was a band kid. I was a band kid and a jock that didn't play sports, which is embarrassing to say out loud, to say the least. But seriously, kind of perform the stuff out loud. Read it out loud. This is something that really works for me, where if I try to digest the material that I have created by putting myself in the sort of the vein of the listener, the reader, it helps me to understand if my writing is kind of getting off track, if it's kind of becoming, if it's becoming more blah, you know. I'm sure for a lot of people that this won't work. This won't be how their brain works. But for me, I try to write as I like to read or to perform. So when I go to perform, I try to perform it like I would want it to be performed, and that kind of informs changes that might need to be made. I'm sure eventually when I meet with an editor, they'll say, "What in the hell are you talking about? You need to work on your grammar, and and you need to learn English. Get over yourself." All right, let's that's enough. That's enough talk. Let's read. Since his first day at the forge in his town of apprenticeship, he had been driven to become skilled in every aspect of his craft, and demonstrated an obsessive need for proficiency. Quick pause. This is something I think that we're going to change. I'm pretty sure we left a little note for ourselves. Yeah, he was really just obsessed with the quest, and he just was naturally gifted. What was more, he had been marked by each master he studied and worked under as a frugal miser. Each skill was derived for as few coins and materials as he could manage. So here's another thing. I think we actually forgot to make this change. I don't like this characterization. Initially, I had thought that he should be this Scrooge McDuck kind of character who really is all about the quest, and I need money to do the quest, so I can't spend money on anything, and I'm going to hurt myself by starving myself because I can't spend money on food. And I wanted him to be this terrible curmudgeon, basically. But I think that's gross, and I don't like that. I like he's supposed to turn into this lump of coal, basically, and I want that instead to be a consequence of his passion and his refinement under pressure, rather than his, I don't know, rising from grossness and then descending back into grossness. Some of what I'm saying doesn't make sense, I'm sure. We'll get there eventually. Some of his masters had tried to caution him of the dangers of being too unfocused in his study, and that there would be time enough in his years to learn all that he could learn. He should instead, they insisted, time and again in those early years, spend his efforts mastering what he had already demonstrated a basic proficiency in. Once a master, his reputation and success would blossom, they reasoned. But Yorn would never listen. He made strides above most of his peers in study and practice, but chose to march on from master to master, learning new skills of various complexities. Again, we're going to change this. That reputation would draw him more work and more coin than any level of mastery in a single skill. It was a plan he had devised alone one evening, just after discovering what he would later call his beggar's destiny. I think we can reuse this line when we rehash some of this crapola. He could remember with a crisp clarity, no matter his state, exactly the moment he had discovered his quest. He had been but a boy, only a few months past his search for apprenticeship, in the larger town up the road from his village he had been born. He had been given a room to stay at the... I think we're going to also change that. I think this is a little redundant. I think we could just say, from the village, up the road from the village. Or up the road from his village. Up the road from his village. Yep. He had been given a room to stay at the tavern just on the edge of town. The owner was a good friend of his father's while he still lived, and had offered Yorn to stay there for a few days while he searched. Actually, I'm going to pause again. This is something that I wanted to find. Owner was a good friend of his father's while he still lived. So we're actually just going to copy that real quick. Bam! We got our first little detail of his life before the story. Um, a few months past. Here, we'll take this as well. Yep. Oh, Google Docs, why are you like this? Thank you. So basically, this document that I've got here, we're gonna start fleshing out on this document, Yorn, prior to the story. He had been but a boy, only a few months past his search for apprenticeship in a larger town up the road from his village. He had been given a room to stay at the tavern just on the edge of town. The owner was a good friend of his father's while he still lived, and had offered Yorn to stay there for a few days while he searched. And on the second night of his stay, mind and body beleaguered from a dawn to dusk, door-to-door asking of every craftsman and workmaster in town, he had sat at a table with a few boys his age. With beer and bread in hand, they had been talking of what they had experienced, comparing notes, and making light of their shared struggles. It was then that an old man, drunk and seemingly on the edge of madness, had entered the inn and stumbled over to their table. Yorn would later guess the old man was only in his 50th year or so, but had lived such a harsh life that it gave him an ancient look. Like an itinerant monk whose beliefs were more sun ravings than leather-bound and rote, the man had asked the boys for a share of their bread and ale, as payment for a secret to immeasurable power and wealth. "You'll give unto me a sup and a sip, won't you, young fellows?" the old man had proffered. "I've a tale to tell that'll make you kings and gods if you'd only wet my lips and fill my belly." At this, Yorn remembered several of his friends had scoffed or curled their lips at the presence of the cur who had beset them, and several men at surrounding tables offered chuckles in derision in agreement. But Yorn had felt his eyes drawn to the old man's. He had seen something there. Madness, surely, but something else as well. An intensity of will that drew Yorn's gaze, and when their eyes met, they were locked for a moment that Yorn would never forget. In that moment, the old man's eyes told him of more than madness, and mentioned something of dire certainty. Whatever the man would tell them was the truth, whether believable or not. It was this locking of eyes that had caused Yorn to slide his cup of beer and half-soaked bread across the table to the old man with a nod. The old man had fallen to the cup like a desperate animal, slurping the liquid greedily, and pushing the bread into his mouth with dirty fingers, making hungry and pleased grunts as he consumed the meager meal. In pity, and perhaps a lack of appetite from the display, one of Yorn's young companions had offered their cup as well, and soon the old man had made that empty too, with a similar voraciousness. The old man had then let loose a satisfied belch, and settled his elbows forward against the table, holding himself upright as though he planned to rest his head down to its surface at any moment. Not wanting to give the old man the chance without divulging his secret, Yorn spoke up. "Well, old-timer, you spoke of a mighty treasure and a mighty story. You've had your sip and sup. So what of it?" Yorn's gaze never left the eyes of the old man, even as they began to flicker with sleep. His head slowly starting to bob up and down. He could see there was some promise in those eyes, and he wanted to have whatever lay behind them. Sleepily, the old man had replied, "Yes, thanks to you, youngster. I did that, yes." His eyes had seemed to struggle against the malaise that beset them, and threatened to take him under, blinking in harsh spurts. "I was to tell you of the mountain's heart, where I found it, and—" At this, one of the men sat nearby, obviously having been listening in on the conversation, had interrupted with a powerful laugh. "Ha! You old fool! You had better have coin to repay these gullible children, or else I'll beat your hide and call you the sheriff. That old miner's tale is as much bog water as the scum in the gutter." The old man had cringed hearing that threat, and Yorn felt a moment's pity for his difficult existence. But the old man would not be halted in telling his tale, and had offered a swift and uncharacteristically potent rebuke to the rude man instead. "It's no more bog water than what runs from your mouth, you brazen mule. You want to see the way to the stars from your ass, then let us out of the alley to the alley after I finish." This had brought a general uproar from the surrounding tables, and several of the boys, and was enough to settle the rude man's conflict, at least until the old man was done with his tale. He had then continued with a gleam in his eye as though tears were starting to well there. Okay, so then we had this long description of where to find the MacGuffin, what it do, and what it is. And then the old man was thrown out of the inn. More description about the thing. What was our note about this? Show, don't tell. Yeah, so I think this, let's not copy that, but let's just make another thing here. Show, don't tell. Yorn learns as a child the story of the mountain's heart. This may still end up being just a little bit more of a tell rather than show, because I don't want to just constantly be in flashbacks for the entire story. Yorn overhearing a local storyteller retelling the tale of MacGuffin to the... Yeah, okay, here, we'll copy this one. Did we also copy the comment? No. Cool. Let's not highlight this, though. The taste of gold and silver poison the minds of men. La 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 la. Beyond this, Yorn never had any other thoughts. It was always merely a quest for the heart. Whatever might happen after he found it was not in his plan. Blah blah blah. So instead, he had spent all of his youth toiling to make the journey northward, just as the old man's fable had directed. Okay, so here, I think we had another... Yeah, he did not work as a scholar. Instead, he befriended a scholar. So we're going to start to talk and show about his friends. Every moment not hard to work at his trade he spent with scholars and their craft, trying to better understand the intricacies of his quest, and I covered details from what the beggar had told him. So... meets a scholar who helps him to uncover the fable reality of the MacGuffin. Jula? It was just after, allowing him to steadily amass the wealth and knowledge he knew he would need. We're going to take these last two sentences and his skills expanded from simple smithery to fine metalworking and glass blowing, as well as to building and construction. Now we're going to take all of this, and again, don't need that. It was just after his 45th year, having had ample opportunity to settle into several successful businesses and tutor numerous successful apprentices, that he had begun his journey. I actually do like this, and I do want to keep this part. I may want to make him older. Pink. He knew his success was a draw, and if he had not been married to his quest, he might have considered several over the years. Where he talks about not getting married. Yep. Yorn never married. Why? The quest. Life is ball. Let's see. His sacrifices had been many. He had few friends. Let's see. Let's actually take both of these then, because I want to expand upon those two pieces. His sacrifices have been many. He had few friends. He smiled wanly, remembering his companions of the night previous. Okay, so now we're back to the common time where he's in the little village of Grodal. I don't think we talk much more about his. Okay, we talk about his appearance here. And I think this is another discussion that we will get to, because this is just a really long description of him, what he looks like, what he feels like, etc. And then we get some of his characterization as he talks to people. Yeah, and there's really not much more. Yep, and then we get into it. Okay, cool. So let's talk Yorn. I kind of wish I had more than just these bullets here. Matter of fact, I think we might. Yeah, you guys have got half the screen. That's probably enough, right? Now let's zoom in our writing document a bit here. And where is our map? Map. We'll shift that over just a hair. All right. That might be a little better. And we can zoom in a tad. Well, maybe a little less of a tad. Boom. There we go. So, hopefully that's a little more legible for anybody that's here. Doesn't look like anybody's here. That's okay. It's a Sunday morning. I get it. And this is not for you. This is for me anyways. So, I'm going to take a sip of water. Ooh. Yeah. We're getting some good Foley this morning. That's the way. So, oh, come on. I don't want. Thank you. Yorn's early. Yorn's pre-story. Born in Arbia, southern coast of Almara. I think I want him to be an only child. Only child of so if he's going to become an apprentice, I think his parents need to be not extremely wealthy, but I think they need to be of means, because typically in a lot of history, unless you were lucky or really dogged or had a connection, through your parents or family or whatever, you would just pick up doing what your family did. You wouldn't. I really hope that picks up on the mic. Our little cat has come to the door bringing one of her string toys. She. I really hope that picked up on the mic. I think I saw the audio peak when she did it. Like every day at some point, she will bring one of her. It's like a feather on a string toy. She will drag it through the house to wherever you're at. Mostly me. She pretty much just brings it to me, and she will just and just make these small, tiny cat noises. And she's not tiny. She's normal cat sized, because she wants to play. She's such an intelligent and weird cat. The other day, she actually brought two of her string toys up here to the office and deposit them in the middle of the floor, and then like pawed one of them to the side, like indicating like, this one. But if you want the other one, it's here too. Let's go, man. She also drinks water out of the spigot of the sink. So like, whenever you go into the bathroom, she will hop up onto the bathroom counter, and she will like chirp and then bend her head over like she's going to drink water from the sink. And if you turn the sink on, she'll drink water just right there, lapping it as it pours. Very strange cat, but she's cool. One of these days, I'll see if I can bring her onto the stream, and maybe we'll get a cat cam. Probably not, because she's a very active cat, so I don't think that would work very well. But we'll get something for everybody. Okay, back to this. So I think I want him to be an only child of merchants, artisans, not super wealthy, but of some means. Because I think I want Yorn. Yorn is raised loosely, but with what do I want to say here? So I want his parentage to not be oh, I know that picked up. Oh my goodness, she's going nuts out there. I want his parents to be, not heavy-handed. They I mean, he's their only child, so he gets a little spoiled, with a bit of spoilage, and many opportunities, which he accepts, but only so far as they can benefit his quest. We'll expound upon that a little bit. Let's talk about his parents. Parents. Father. Mother. So, Yorn becomes a smith, I think, first? Yeah. Yeah, we'll say he becomes a smith first. We'll say that he was swinging a hammer from when he was able to pick it up. So probably his Faja, a well-regarded blacksmith in the region town. Mother. I think I want her to also have employment. I don't want her to just be, the housewife. So maybe she works in a she's a baker. Well regarded baker. Works in works out of the house at a bakery. So she's not like the owner, but she works at the bakery. which might give her some time to raise Yorn and such. Town. So I'm a little torn between making. Again, I haven't really fleshed out Arbia at all. I think this is something I may try and do this week. Since I won't be studying to become a drone pilot, I'll have a little more time this week to like do some map work and some culture description work, some geography. I think I want him to be just from a small, well, not even small, village, just outside of the main city limits of Arbia. Let's leave ourselves a little like, what's it called? Less than, I don't know, like 300 population. Yeah, maybe. And you know what? I think we're actually just going to take a little break here because I feel like I need his sigil to start talking guild and the culture of where he's from so that we can kind of better understand and better get an idea of what I want here. So we're going to take a little 10-minute break. I'm going to go refill my coffee, go get that file, and we'll be back. Again, like 10 minutes here, and we will we'll be back with more of this. Oh boy. Minor emergency. Minor emergency. Went to go transfer the file, which I'm pulling up now. And as sometimes you do, Penny has found her jingle ball that I put in here in the office, thinking she wouldn't be able to reach it from under the door. Go figure, she has reached her tiny little cat paw under the door far enough that she could bap that thing across the room. Well, it is now, unless she is like some sort of shapeshifter, it is well out of reach. So at least we won't be hearing the jingling for a little bit. But anyway, so minor emergency. Last night when I was making the seal, the thing that I wanted to show you guys, that we had talked about yesterday, and that Wild Sand had helped us to get an idea for. I made it, and I didn't. I made it in Illustrator, and I didn't save the Illustrator doc because I had exported the picture, and I was like, I'm not gonna worry about editing this thing. If I've got the picture, I can always remake it. It's not, it's not that complex. It's not that crazy. But then I didn't remember where I saved it, and I started to think, oh shit, maybe I didn't actually export that picture. Which would mean that I'd have to rebuild it, and I would feel like I would have to rebuild it on stream. Thankfully, I did in fact save it. I did put it somewhere. I just put it in a documents folder rather than a pictures folder. So my brain said, well, that's not where it should be. Why would it be there? Because I'm a fool. And this is how things happen sometimes. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here it is. Ta-da! So here is the Yorn's seal. This would be his maker's mark. Can you guys see my cursor? Probably not. That's fine. I'll have to figure out some way to like have a right on the screen coloring thing. So anyways, here is his seal. So in the top of the seal, you've got those three lines. Those are meant to represent both the ocean waves and the ocean breeze. The kind of box shape, the sloped box shape that's on the left side of the circle here of the seal, that is meant to represent the cliffs of Arbia. We'll come up with a better name for that. But basically, the cliffs near his home are a major landmark and something that people would know from all around. Like, oh yeah, that's that place. On the right side, you've got an abstracted hammer and an abstracted plumb bob with the string coming off of it, as though hung down to get a level. I looked at a lot of reference material for historical seals and maker's marks, and actually, if I can get on a little bit of a soapbox for a minute, I've been noticing this both in my professional life as well as just as a content creator / just dude on the internet. Google has been ruined. Has been absolutely ruined. Google search is destroyed by AI and by capitalist whatever, man. It is nigh on impossible to type in a question or type in a thing and get a helpful response. Every single, pardon my French here, every single fucking thing on Google is an ad. It is something being sold or bought or just generally advertised. I spent I remember even just 5 or 6 years ago, I could have typed into Google search historical Maker's Mark, and I might have gotten an ad for the Maker's Mark, I think, what is it, bourbon, whiskey, whatever, the alcohol. I may have gotten an ad or a link to them. But then I probably would have also gotten a link to like a Wikipedia article about seal stamps, or how artisans would leave their initials on things. Because I wanted some images and some discussion to look at about, well, what did this stuff look like? Like, I know a little bit. I've seen a lot from going to museums and purchasing or looking at old tools and antiques and stuff. But I wanted some historical reference. Specifically, I wanted some images to look at. I spent 20-30 minutes last night searching. First 3 or 4 pages of Google, it was just Maker's Mark whiskey, Maker's Mark bourbon. It was a furniture store somewhere, I think in the UK or something like that, or the EU, not the UK. Those are different now, I guess. Bro, Google sucks now. And what's even more unfortunate is it's moved beyond just Google. I used DuckDuckGo, and it wasn't much better. I mean, it was better. I've now changed my default on almost all of my devices to DuckDuckGo instead of Google Chrome and Google Search. But holy shit, it's bad, man. It's awful. I don't know. If I was a kid in school, this would be disastrous. When I was a kid in school in the 90s to aughts, like, man, you could just type in a question and Google would be like, I mean, here's an idea. If that's not it, you can change the question a little bit and I'll give you something totally different. I think trying to research anything now would be more than painful. It would be probably impossible. I think you'd have to go to the library, to some sort of reference place like a library or something like that, and search there. And then I don't know, man. For any of you that are in school, in education now, that are trying to do research, or even if you're just some guy on the internet who's trying to find a solution to something and looking for it online, best of luck to you, because this shit sucks, man. Anyways, off the soapbox, back to story. Okay, so this is his mark. He's got the waves, the breeze above the cliffs, and then in the dead center, I think this might be one of the things I change. Is this is meant to be like an abstracted AB, like Arbia, two of the major letters denoting the city, town, whatever that he was based in. He has the hammer and the plumb bob on the right, indicating that he's part of the Builders Guild. That also may change, but I like that it's implied that he's just a builder, that he's a smith, a builder, he does all sorts of stuff. And then on the left side, this is something actually I really want to delve into, I think, now, is the I don't know what you'd call it, the mark of masterhood. So this is 3 concentric rings with a line through the inner circle, and then a line crossing that line and intersecting all 3 of the concentric circles. This symbol indicates masterhood. I workshopped this a little bit with my wife last night. Went through some different options, and we actually went with a couple of the options that I made drafts of were recommended by White Sand. I'm probably butchering the name, misremembering the name. But one of the people in chat yesterday had recommended that we have like little pips on the seal, kind of like Star Trek commanders, captains, whatever, where they have those little circles, those little dots, the little pips, or in Warhammer 40k, where basically the more pips you have, the more importance, more responsibilities you have. And I did that, and I just didn't quite like the look of it. It didn't look. I don't know. It just didn't look like something that a person of artisanal, like a craft, would put on their seal to indicate like a level of proficiency. And I tried a couple different things, like making them not circles, but making them different polygons. Tried showing like, oh, maybe if maybe each pip has a different polygonal value based upon how many years you were at that level. And I did that, and it looked kind of whack. And I didn't think it really was all that important to indicate, oh, here's how many years I was X apprentice. Here's how many years I was X journeyman. I don't think that's important. I don't know that has ever been important, and certainly wouldn't be important to mark on things that you had crafted, you know? I think that would be something that would be like maybe that would be a talking point at the guild, but that wouldn't be something that like you'd stamp on a piece to indicate like, oh, I'm a 5th year apprentice, I'm a 3rd year journeyman, 8th year apprentice. It doesn't matter. Instead, I think something a little more complex to carve or add on to the stamp. One shows more mastery. So like, the crisper, cleaner lines of the stuff would obviously show mastery. But two, the complexity and the density of the icon would probably better serve indicating at a glance, are you dealing with the make of a master? Are you dealing with the make of a journeyman, etc.? So let's go back to our thing here. And we're actually just going to make a new page. That's not quite what I had in mind, but that's fine. Guild artisanal crap. Can I want to insert an image from Drive. Oh God, there we go. Insert. Yeah. Oh, that's nice and that's pretty. Inline. We'll put it behind. Over there. Fixed position on page. Yeah, that's good. All right. So, tiers of mastery. So we had on our world currency standards, let me just flash that back up here. And again, this is malleable, but I want to use this just as a start. So we had copper, bronze, silver, electrum, gold, and platinum. So we had 6 tiers of currency. I think 6 is a bit much for tiers of like mastery, but I think 5 is fine, and that's kind of what I put on the thingamajig there. So let's go master, artisan, journeyman, journeyman, apprentice. That only makes 4. Master, artisan, journeyman. So I'm sure that picked up. Penny is just screaming outside the door, please play with me, please play with me. So we actually may end stream a little bit early today. I still want to figure out this Tears of Mastery thing, talk it out real briefly. But then I want to go play with my cat because she is a wonderful critter, and she's currently alone because our old 16-year-old cat passed away last month, and so she's lonely now. She needs more focus from her parents. So let's get this done. So let's just go with Master, Artisan, Journeyman, Apprentice, Workman, and I think we'll workshop the names of these things a bit. But here's kind of what I'm thinking for the intent of each of these. So, and this comes a little bit from my own experience working with the Electricians Union, the IBEW, the International Bureau of Electric Workers. So, if you join the Electricians Union, at least in America, you kind of have a couple choices of how you do so. If you join in with zero work experience, zero knowledge, whatever, you join in by starting classes with the union, then you basically start out as an apprentice. But if you don't start as you start in classes first, you start out as a wireman, and I think this is fairly standard across all unions. So basically, if you had some work experience and you were not yet taking courses, you'd start as a workman. I guess if you started in courses and or started with experience, you'd start as a workman, or in the IBEW would be a wireman, and then once you started your classes, you would be considered an apprentice. And there's like different tiers of apprentice and different tiers of workman. So you'd get like and I think there was a wireman 4. I was a wireman 2 for my short stint, and then I was an apprentice 1. Probably would have quickly gone to 2. Then there was 3, 4, and I think there was 5 tiers of apprentice before you hit your journeyman. And then journeyman, you had, I want to say it was again 4 or 5. I wonder if this is actually just something I can Google. IBEW journeyman salary. There we go. Pay scales. Oh, this is not exactly as helpful as I was hoping for. I was hoping for like there was a chart. Come on. Journeyman levels. Oh wait, is this it? PW rate skilled. No. Okay, so okay, actually here we go. I think we found it. Bam. Okay, so this is from a different union than it's from a union, electrical local, and this shows a lot of weight. By the way, if you are I'm going to get back onto a soapbox for a minute. If you are looking for a career change and you don't want to go back to college, or you don't have the money to go to college in the first place, and especially if you are a kid like about to graduate high school, dude, don't worry about going to college. If you have questions, concerns about it, I am going to heavily recommend going into a trade: plumbing and pipe fitting, electrical, welding, metalworking, carpentry, all jump into it. This chart here, let's see where we're at. Apprentices. So apprentices, this is not super obvious. At least where I'm at, apprentices start out much better than, we'll call it $12 an hour. Where I'm at, they start at like 13, 14 an hour, which is not great. Don't get me wrong. It's frankly dog shit wages. However, the benefits, the insurance, the pension are fucking phenomenal. As well, you only stay in that tier for your first, this chart is actually pretty different from, this is actually where I'm from. I guess, yeah, maybe 683 was the union that I was in. So I remembered this being different. I thought it was only like 1,000 hours, and then you got your bump up. But basically every tier of like allotment of hours, you get a pay raise, assuming you don't even get a pay raise just for being a good cookie and doing what you need to do. Yeah, your pension goes up, overtime rate changes. So you can kind of see the math does go up. And so there's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I guess there's 6 tiers of apprentice. So there. Well, let's just go with that for now. And then I wish this also had journeyman changes. Okay, well, we'll make it up from here. So let's say that there are 4 levels of workman, 6 levels of apprentice, maybe another 4 levels of journeyman. All right, no, let's go with 3. Let's go 4, 6, 3, and then 3 tiers of artisan, and then just 1 tier of master. So basically, if you factor each of these into like a year, that's 4, 10, 13, 16, so 17 years to become a master of this thing. That seems about right. Echo, good morning. Very saucy greetings. Yeah, sure, I'll take it. Good morning, Echo. Good morning. So Echo, I guess you've just been in here for like a minute or so. So I'm trying to come up with tiers of mastery and a little bit of a breakdown of like how guilds would work. Hell yeah, dancing dinos. Oh man, here's another emoji thing. I don't recognize TwitchCon hype. God, I am old. I am out of the loop. Oh my god. So I'm trying to come up with these tiers here of different levels of being in a guild and working for an artisan or a craftsperson. And I've loosely, very, very loosely, because apparently my memory is very, very haggard and inaccurate compared to my experience with working in a union. So So I basically want the workman tier, unskilled, and we'll say largely unskilled, not a part of a guild or guild sanctioned guild sanctioned merchant or artisan master, and I don't know, let's say each tier averages a year's labor at well, no, so this is where I guess we're going to go back to like, so I was a construction wireman and then an apprentice. I had a couple years of experience prior to becoming an apprentice. So I was a wireman 2. I had 2 years of experience. But when they brought me onto the union, they had told me like, hey, we can't bring you in as a higher level apprentice. However, your knowledge places you at roughly like a second year apprentice. So maybe each tier averages a year's labor at sanctioned craft, but does not necessarily reflect knowledge and is more a placeholder title for new guild apprentices. Cool. And then apprentice. Less than 6 years of skilled labor in the craft. At least 1 year as a part of a guild sanctioned craft facility. We'll workshop these these monikers later. Each tier reflects a wage increase. As well as probable skill and responsibility increase. Apprentices must work under journeyman at a ratio of, and I think this is something I'll just steal straight from electricians union. So basically you have to have 1 journeyman minimum to every 2 apprentices. Ratio of 1 to 2. All right. Between we'll say 7 and 9 years of skilled labor in the craft. At least, we'll say not at least, we'll just say 7 or 9 skills of labored craft as a part of a guild sanctioned craft facility. Actually, I guess we will say at least in the craft, at least 2 years as a part of a guild sanctioned craft facility. Each tier reflects a wage increase as well as probable skill and responsibility increase. Journeymen may not solely own or operate a crafts facility and must work under an artisan. There is no limit on the ratio between artisan and journeyman. Upwards of, we'll say the artisans are upwards of 10 years of skilled labor in the craft, with no fewer than 5 years as part of a guild sanctioned facility. Each tier does not reflect a wage increase and instead indicates seniority at the guild and indicates seniority at the guild, and maybe this is where some kind of conflict comes in from time to time. Weight of voting rights. So basically, if you've been an artisan for longer and you are higher in your station, higher at the guild, you get more points to vote with. Yeah. Each tier is not a reflection on years as artisan, and instead an artisan must how do I want to word this? They must petition the guild masters for a tier increase and subsequently larger voting weight. Yeah, and more importance. And then we'll just say once you're a master, you're a master. Masters are the oldest, most skilled, mostly, most skilled and highly regarded members of the guild. They are the least numerous. I'm just going to throw a number out here. with less than 20. With less than 20 masters across the guild in any one profession. Masters are voted into their station by their peers in biannual presentations of profession, and only masters are granted the rights to make charter changes to the guild's make changes to the charters guild. That's what I want. Or guild's charter. Oh, I'm going crazy. Guild's charter. In committee. There we go. Masters may own and operate numerous facilities, but are only required to own and operate a single facility for the duration of their tenure. Well, I will say artisans are restricted to just one. I want a little more conflict here. Artisans are restricted to a single facility facilities ownership per tier. Give a little more weight also to, like, yeah, you get more voting weight, but you also can have a little more bidness. Maybe we may come back to this. Some of this will likely change as we go on, but I think I like this as a primer for where we're going with guild and guild work. This kind of sets a little into motion of how long usually someone is going to have to be in a profession, like smithing, carpentry, masonry, ship's writing, chandlery, whatever, coopering, all that stuff. How many years are going to have to be in it to be like more than just established, and also sets a system of like how many people are going to need to be working or could be working underneath of someone who's established. Which is kind of where we get back to Yorn. So I've made him as a master. Oh, and this is where we want to describe or show how they are indicated. Indicated by 3 concentric circles. The inner crossed northwest to southeast, and all 3 crossed northeast to southwest. We don't want it bold, and let's just make that a bit. That's probably almost not legible, but that's fine. Then artisan. Yep. I don't want a new tab. Thank you. Indicated by 3 concentric circles. The inner crossed northwest to southeast. Bow. And journeyman. Indicated by 3 concentric circles. Indicated by 2 concentric circles. And then finally, a workman is indicated by 1 circle, showing they have joined the guild under and are working but are not yet and apprentice. Yeah. Boom. Cool. I like this. I like where this sets us. So basically, Yorn's seal up here shows that he is a master. But what I kind of want to set him up for is that he is a master who doesn't really care to be doing much in the guild. And I think that's where I'm going to try and focus some of his stuff here, where I think he needs to have a craftsman friend / foil. So the foil, fellow master artisan who is frustrated by Yorn's skill but lack of interest in the guild. Who desires his business, sees him as a threat. Yep. And then scholar, we will scholar friend. I think we'll define another time. So Echo, I'm sorry that you tuned in when you did. I'm actually going to be ending stream like 10 minutes early today because I want to play with my cat a little bit. She's needing some attention. As I mentioned earlier, she is now a lonely single child cat. Our 16-year-old cat Marcus passed away last month. And he is the only cat she has basically ever known since she had eyes that worked. All of her siblings are long past at this point. And Penny is a lonely 2-year-old cat who we will be getting a friend for soon. Just not this week, probably not for the next couple weeks because we've just got a lot going on. So yeah, I'm going to go entertain this animal and keep her healthy and wealthy and wise. Hopefully not too wise. Sometimes I think she's more intelligent than I am. And I think I've actually got quite a lot here just from bringing up, and I think one of the things I'll do for next week is I'll get a couple pictures and little videos of Penny that I can pop into stream and show you guys. I don't want to try and have like a specific camera angle of her because she is a rambunctious critter, and she will destroy the office while I try to stream. Yeah, so Echo, I'll be back next week, Saturday, 7 a.m. Eastern to 9 a.m. Eastern, where whatever that means for your time zone. I think I've got the schedule up corrected now. And thankfully, because I did pass my drone license test, I will have much more time this week to do some writing and have a lot more content for you guys next week, where I will have hopefully fleshed out Arbia, and more of where Yorn is from, so we can kind of start working his way up in his journey. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So thanks for tuning in, Echo. I'll catch you next time, and have a good week, everybody. And if you are in the U.S. and you get federal holidays, enjoy the federal holiday, or don't. That's fine too. Yeah, have a good one.